Hey there, today we're diving into the wacky, the wild, the downright weird side of history. From generational blood feuds to bizarre territorial disputes, history is full of some of the strangest rivalries you've never heard of. We're talking feuds that make you scratch your head and say, wait, they fought over that. What happens when a feud goes beyond reason? Buckle up, because we're about to find out. Get ready for 5 of the weirdest feuds in world history. All right, let's kick things off in the Appalachian Mountains of the late 1800s. Picture this: dense forests, rugged terrain, and 2 families who really hated each other. I'm talking about the Hatfields and the McCoys, and their feud is practically legendary. Now, you might think a feud this intense started with a dramatic betrayal or a land grab, right? Nope, it all began with a pig. You heard me right, a pig. In 1878, a Hatfield was accused of stealing a McCoy pig. Was it true? Maybe, maybe not. But in a world where livestock was life, accusations like this were serious business. The trial that followed only deepened the divide. The justice of the peace, a Hatfield, ruled in favor of his kin. The McCoys cried foul, and the feud was officially on. Over the next decade, the Hatfields and McCoys transformed their corner of Appalachia into a real-life battleground. We're talking ambushes, shootouts, even a raid on a McCoy cabin that left 2 dead. The feud finally started to cool down in the 1890s after a particularly bloody shootout known as the New Year's Night Massacre. Public opinion, which had once romanticized the feud, turned against the violence. In 2003, descendants of the Hatfields and McCoys signed a truce, officially ending the feud after 125 years. So, the next time you get into an argument with your family over who gets the last slice of pizza, just remember the Hatfields and McCoys. Okay, folks, let's journey across the Atlantic to 19th century Europe, where our next feud is brewing. And no, it's not about land or money or even royal succession. Get ready for this because it's a weird one. It's the Austrian Prussian Postal War. Now, I know what you're thinking. A war over mail? Believe it or not, yes. In the mid-1800s, both Austria and Prussia were vying for power in the German Confederation. And while their armies were busy sizing each other up, a much more passive-aggressive battle was being waged on a different front: the postal service. It all started with stamps, those tiny squares of paper that seemed so insignificant but were actually a big deal back then. Prussia, under the ambitious leadership of Otto von Bismarck, decided to flex its muscles by issuing new stamps for the German Confederation. The problem? Austria, not too keen on Prussia's power grab, refused to recognize these new stamps. And so began the postal equivalent of a Cold War. Austrian postal workers refused to deliver any mail bearing the new Prussian stamps. Prussian postal workers retaliated in kind. Imagine the chaos. Letters piled up, businesses were disrupted, and citizens on both sides were left wondering why on earth their mail wasn't getting through. In the end, Prussia emerged victorious, both on the battlefield and in the postal service. Chapter 3, Oxford versus Cambridge, rowing toward disaster. All right, let's lighten the mood a bit with a rivalry that's a little less war-torn and a little more, well, wet. We're heading to England, to the hallowed halls of Oxford and Cambridge, 2 of the oldest and most prestigious universities in the world. Now, these 2 institutions have been locked in a battle for academic supremacy for centuries, but nowhere is their rivalry more fierce, more passionate, and yes, more bizarre than in the annual boat race. Every spring, thousands of spectators line the banks of the River Thames to witness this epic clash of the oars. Oxford and Cambridge rowers, years of training culminating in this one moment, push themselves to the limit in a grueling 4-mile race. It's a spectacle of athleticism, tradition, and, occasionally, utter chaos. You see, the Oxford-Cambridge boat race isn't just about rowing fast. It's about outsmarting, outmaneuvering, and sometimes even sabotaging your opponent. Over the years, the race has seen its fair share of controversies, from accusations of cheating to, believe it or not, a rogue swimmer disrupting the entire event. Despite the occasional chaos, the Oxford-Cambridge boat race remains a beloved tradition, a testament to the enduring power of rivalry and the sheer absurdity that can unfold when you put 2 groups of highly competitive people in boats. It's a reminder that even in the pursuit of excellence, a little bit of mischief never hurts. So the next time you find yourself watching a seemingly ordinary sporting event, remember the Oxford-Cambridge boat race, because beneath the surface of even the most civilized competition, there's often a current of chaos just waiting to erupt. Chapter 4, The Toledo War. This land is my land. Or is it yours? All right, let's head back to the United States for a feud that's less about family drama or academic one-upmanship and more about geography. That's right, folks, we're talking about the Toledo War, a border dispute between Ohio and Michigan that nearly escalated into a full-blown war. And what sparked this territorial tug-of-war? A sliver of land known as the Toledo Strip. Now, you might be thinking, a war over a strip of land? How exciting can that be? Well, hold on to your hats, because this feud has got it all: political maneuvering, malicious standoffs, and even a near-miss cannonball. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to some good old-fashioned surveying errors. See, when Ohio and Michigan were still territories, their borders were poorly defined. Both sides claimed the Toledo Strip, a strategically important piece of land along the Maumee River, as their own. As both territories grew, so did the tension. Ohio, eager to secure the valuable port of Toledo, lobbied for statehood with the disputed territory included within its borders. Michigan, not to be outdone, countered by forming its own militia and threatening to defend its claim by force. After months of negotiations, a compromise was reached. Ohio got the Toledo Strip, while Michigan received the Upper Peninsula, a vast wilderness area rich in natural resources. Today, the Toledo War is mostly remembered as a quirky footnote in American history, a testament to the absurdity that can arise from bureaucratic blunders and territorial ambition. Chapter 5, The Earldom of Orkney, a Viking saga of feuds and dowries. Get ready to set sail for the rugged coastlines of northern Europe, where our final feud takes us back centuries to the saga of the Orkney Islands. Caught between the kingdoms of Norway and Scotland, these islands became a pawn in a power struggle that spanned generations. Forget your typical family drama. This is a tale of Viking raids, royal betrayals, and a dowry that sealed the fate of an entire archipelago. Imagine the North Sea in the year 875 AD. Viking longships, sleek and deadly, cut through the waves, carrying Norse warriors eager for conquest. Among their targets, the Orkney Islands, strategically important and ripe for the taking. Thus began the Norse rule of Orkney, a period marked by Viking raids, Norse settlements, and the blending of cultures. But Scotland, ever watchful of its northern neighbours, wasn't about to let Orkney go without a fight. What followed was centuries of back-and-forth control, a tug-of-war over these windswept islands. Norse jarls, fiercely independent and loyal to their Viking heritage, clashed with Scottish monarchs seeking to expand their realm. Treaties were signed, broken, and renegotiated. Alliances shifted like the tides. One of the most dramatic chapters in this saga unfolded in 1468. King Christian I of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, facing financial difficulties, found himself in need of a substantial dowry for his daughter Margaret's marriage to James III of Scotland. His solution? Pawning the Orkney Islands. Spoiler alert, that payment never came. The Orkney Islands, once a proud Norse territory, became officially absorbed into the Kingdom of Scotland. From pig-napping to postal standoffs, from rowing rivalries to territorial disputes, we've journeyed through some of the most bizarre feuds in history. These stories, as strange as they may seem, remind us that conflict is a constant throughout human history, often fueled by seemingly trivial matters that mask deeper tensions. History is filled with bizarre rivalries, some of which shaped entire regions. Which feud surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from world history. See you in the next video.